Hey, hi, hello! My name is Arie, and welcome to Fox Dots. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about Mario Super Picross for the Super Famicom, and why I've come to really adore it so much within a short period of time, honestly. So, for the uninitiated, what is the Super Famicom? Have you ever heard of the Super Nintendo, the SNES, NES, rearranged in letters? Oh, yeah, that's the Super Famicom. In Japan, that's just what it's called. I know for a lot of you listening, you might be thinking, "Oh, I already know it is. What the hell you're telling me this for?" Listen, there is a lot of people out there that don't know that, and it might seem very trivial to you. Very trivial, I meant to say to you, but for a lot of people, they didn't know that. They didn't know that was a thing. So now they know. So now we're on the same page here. Now let's get to the more stranger part of things. What is a Mario Super Picross? I'm not saying that wrong either. That is the official title of this game. Because the Mario's and Super in this case, the Picross is. Essentially, this game was made during the time in the video game industry where big game studios thought that puzzle games and other silly spin-offs would sell much better if they just slap on the IP's name, popular IP names like Mario's, Kirby, for example. They got a bunch of random puzzle games at this time, like Doctor Mario, Kirby's Avalanche, etc. Um, and a lot of these times, these aren't even original puzzle games, so to say. These are just other puzzle games that they got to publish, and they decided to slap their whole branding of characters and etc. on there. And Super Picross in this example is a victim of that. I don't know why you use that term. It's not like it's dying in an alleyway after being shot 12 times and bleeding out. No, it just so happens to have Mario branding on it. And to my knowledge, from what I've played, there isn't even any like Mario Picross solutions, but I could be wrong. I didn't play through all of it. I played through like a good chunk of it, but let me stop going around here and there. Let's go into the Picross. What is it? So, if you don't know, Picross is a puzzle game. Wow, shocker. Where you have a grid. Let's say it could be a 5 by 5 or a 10 by 10, 15 by 15, and numbers go higher, etc. And in this grid, each section is a square. You have a little hammer tool that you could use to poke out a square one at a time. And there's also numbers on the left hand side of the grid and on the top of the grid that kind of give you an idea of what specific holes to poke out. You have 30 minutes to poke out all the, not the holes, the squares, I meant to say. Poke out the squares to make holes. Boom. And you keep doing that until either you run out of time, which, by the way, getting hitting the wrong squares makes you lose time, more time per wrong square, or you naturally just lose time because time decreases every second, including right now. Live life to the fullest, by the way. So that's Picross in general, but what does this have to do with this very specific version? Well, I have never played a Picross game before. I've heard it, the I guess series, franchise, whatever you want to call it, kind of floating around throughout the 3DS days and throughout the Switch's lifespan. And I've kept hearing, like, oh, well, these Picross games are fun and simple. Well, I want to say simple, but they're really fun and addicting, whatever. From, Nintendo YouTubers. I heard it from Scott the Wise. I've heard it from AK Family Home. And every time I hear anybody really talk about Picross, just like to talk about their experience with it, I heard they keep saying that it all started with Mario Super Picross on the Super Famicom. And so I was like, okay, well, if I ever wanted to try it out, then I guess that's that. And I want to say 4 or 5-ish days ago, I was out of town. In fact, out of state. I was visiting a close companion of mine, and we were just kind of chilling on the couch, just kind of mucking around, mucking about. And I decided to just boot up my Switch to casually play a game, just chill, hang out, whatever. My friend of mine didn't want to really play anything with me at the moment. I offered playing competitive Kirby's Avalanche, which, if you don't know, that's just Puyo Puyo. And he said no. So I was like, okay, fine, you heathen, you lamer. I'll just try out Mario Super Picross instead. And the game isn't translated on the Nintendo Switch Online Super Nintendo app. It's just all in Japanese, but you know what? This is one of those games where you don't need a translation. You just kind of go in, and there is a tutorial, and it's super intuitive and explains to you, but overall, it's just one of those games where you kind of just play it and figure it out on your own, and then bam, there you go. And it's so fun. It, of course, lets you in easy. Gives you like, okay, here are the basics. Don't stress too much. 5x5, small grid, and then it gets more complex and play. As any game should, keep adding on in terms of like different layers of complexity and etc. And a thing that I really like about Picross in general, that I'm sure is in the entire franchise as a whole, but this specific game, since I've only played this one so far, is that there's a lot of things that you have to insinuate on your own, but in order to make any meaningful progress, you're going to have to make educated guesses. Again, with the numbers on the sides of the grid, it gives you an idea of how many squares you have to break open or poke out, whatever you want to call it, so you could reveal the image proper, then move on to another stage, whatever you want, until you're done with the entire game, or you could replay the stages if you want. I'm not your mom. You could do whatever you want. But that being said, I just think it's so cool that the way that these levels are designed, kind of it kind of gives you a push in a good direction almost every single time of what to expect. Like, for example, let's say we have a 10 by 10 grid and we have number 10 in one of the columns, right? So that basically means, I have to just break all the squares in that column, and then you can mark the numbers on the side, so you the player can personally know, okay, I've already done this, so there's no way that this, there's no other way, there's no other holes to poke in this row or section, whatever you want to call it. And then from there, you can kind of just figure it out. You can math it out. You can kind of get a vibe and a feel of, okay, if this is already done, or if this is how many holes that have already been poked out, then I can kind of try to figure it out. And it's not just like random squares everywhere in a row. When there's a number, that's how many squares in a row, specifically, and that section of the board that will be poked out consecutively. So, it kind of gives you a jumping off point if you already fill out most of the board, or even a little bit of the board, and be like, okay, this is almost completely done. You still have to do some guesswork, to an extent, but there's always some sort of way to get you to that point, so you can kind of go, all right, let's try something because this makes sense within the conventions of the game's logic, and I love that. I know that sounds like a basic, bare minimum game design, but I don't know. It's something that feels so natural and great that I can't help but adore, that older games in general, and some newer games too, just let the player figure out solutions through ingenuity and curiosity and just trying things out. And I'm not saying games that don't do that nowadays, more often than not, are bad. It's just that everybody has their own flavor. Everybody has their own type of vibe, type of games that they enjoy. I've heard a big debate, semi-recently, of the yellow paint debacle of modern gaming, of like, oh, how, here's, this big indicator of yellow paint or some other, like, very noticeable color splash up against an interactable object. Just go there and interact with it. I know people don't like that. For me, it really depends on the type of game. Like, if it's a turn-based RPG, and the overworld is a little bit complex, I wouldn't mind it being there. A toggle would be nice too, but that has nothing to do with Picross. I just somehow fell into this conversation. But there you go. There's my opinion on that heated, very controversial debate. I know, I'm so brave. I'm such a big political figure. Whoopee. But that aside, just finally getting to experience Picross after hearing about it over the years. It's very fun. I've just kind of been in that mood recently, the past year and a half, of let me just try a bunch of games that's been in my backlog, or whenever I have the time, whenever I'm not busy playing other games or doing other projects, just whenever I have the vibe, the feeling, the energy to try it. And I've just been loving it. I've been having my ears open and wide to hear many different recommendations for different games and different just things in media that I haven't tried yet. And overall, they've been mostly hits. Not all of them. Not all of them. But trust me, I've been having a great time with it. And hey, that's the lesson of the day, people. Go out there and try new things if it feels interesting to you, even if you have no experience at all. Just try it. I mean, don't try something bad. Like, don't start taking hard drugs just because, oh man, my friend Kendrick started taking crack cocaine. Now I gotta try. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. That's bad. That's really bad for you. But hey, try something new. That's not gonna kill you. All right, that's good. It's good. Hey. Overall, if any of this at all sounds interesting to you when it comes to the actual game of Picross, not the crack cocaine, then go ahead. If you have Nintendo Switch Online, go to the Super Nintendo app and try it out. Again, it's all in Japanese, but just watch the tutorial and play through the game. You'll have a good time, especially if you love puzzle games. I'm not even like a big puzzle nut myself. Every once in a while, I like a good puzzle in a game, of course. But I don't really go out of my way to play a lot of puzzle games like that are just mainly focused completely on puzzles. But hey, don't knock it till you tried, right? Aside from that, it was really fun to get into Picross and have my close companion, basically watch me really get into it, because I wasn't just doing this alone. I was doing it with someone that I really, really cared about. And overall, I had such a wonderful trip with them. We had such a great time getting to meet each other in person for the first time, just hang out, just casually live life for a little bit, for a handful of days. And, sitting down on the couch, trying out games for the first time, not just Mario Super Picross, but also Gato Roboto. Like, that was also a really, really, really fun game. I really gotta play more of that on my own time. It was super good. So, shouts out to that guy for letting me play on a Switch. What a dingus. But that aside, my friend there, he helped me, with some of the Picross solutions. I wasn't just me steaming on my own. And it also personally helped me get through it too. Like, try to understand them more, the nuance and complexities of Picross. It's not like, the hardest thing in the world, but, there is nuance to it, and I really like that. So having a friend just help me along was super, super fun, and I can't help but say that that's going to be a memory I cherish a lot. All the things I did with him, just in general on the trip, I'm going to cherish a lot, and I'm really glad to associate a super fun, super interesting, and just overall just chill game, that has its stressful moments for sure, especially with the timer, but just having all that tied with something I could access at any time, with memories as precious as being with him. I'm not gonna lie, when I went on the airplane to go back to, my hometown and whatever, I got emotional. I'm a bit of a sensitive person, and there are times where I just have to let it all out. I just have to be myself. But unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to cry. Not because I didn't love myself, but because I was sitting next to this real nice father and his child. I didn't want to just start bawling my eyes out because, I had to say goodbye, for temporarily, for a time being, to a close companion that I really, really enjoy my time with, and that, helped me just get out of my headspace and all the toxicities of the world and everything that bogs me down on a near daily basis. Having that, clear air for days just because I was someone that I really love and care about, just kind of being taken away from me because, I gotta go back to reality, right? So, and I wouldn't lie, the tears streaked out of my eyeballs. That happened. I try to keep my composure. But Mario Super Picross was there for me. I played that stuff all the time. I played so much on the airplane. So much, like the half of the trip back, for like about 1 hour and 45 minutes more or less, I was playing Mario Picross. And I might have cried quite a bit, but it made me feel a lot better because it kind of made me feel close to him, like in person again. And of course, he's always a phone call away. I could always talk to him whenever I want. I could shoot him a message. We could talk. But it's not the same. Whatever. You can call me a weakling for crying about that. You could call me a little fragile snowflake. I don't really care. I don't care because I know who I am and I love myself for who I am. And I understand my faults, but I'm just being human. Simply. And I am a human that loves Picross. So, there it is. That's basically all I gotta say for now. Thank you so much for listening. I greatly appreciate it. I don't know. If you want to see this silly show succeed, spread it around with friends you think who will enjoy it. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. Go enjoy life. Take care. And trust me, if you see a 30-minute timer over your head, you better start poking out holes. Bye-bye. Woohoo!